Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. There you go, the news that we all knew was coming, the news that probably a lot of Evertonians didn't want to hear, but let's be honest, we've known this has been coming for a number of weeks now. Luka Digne has officially left Everton Football Club and joined Aston Villa in a deal worth £25 million. The club confirmed it earlier on today, and the French international left-back has now officially left Everton after weeks and weeks of speculation and weeks of discussions about whether or not he would stay and whether or not there is a way back for him at the football club. Rafa Benitez obviously had his pre-game press conference before our FA Cup fixture against Hull and was quite open in coming out and talking about Luka Digne's not wanting to be at the football club and what are we meant to do when a player doesn't want to be here, etc, etc. And as I said, we've known for some weeks now that this is the situation. We've known for some weeks now that Luka Digne will be leaving. We've known for some weeks now that this was an inevitability, and in some sense I'm kind of glad that it's over, to be honest with you. Not that I'm happy with it, not that I'm particularly, pleased with the deal or think it's a particularly good move for Everton, but I'm just happy that the speculation is done with now and we can finally move on. Listen, at the end of the day, whether you're happy with the deal, whether you're not happy with the deal, and we will talk about it in a second, I think one thing is for sure, and I think one thing we can all agree with, and that is that, what's most important at the moment is Everton Football Club winning some games of football, and that starts ultimately on Saturday against Norwich with an absolutely crucial game, a game that is a must-win in every sense of the imagination. And this was an unhealthy distraction, I believe, and as I said, some people will have various different opinions on it. Some people will be happy with the deal because we've made £25 million on a 28-year-old left-back who didn't want to be at the club. Some people will be understandably annoyed because we've allowed Luka Digne, who is, let's be honest, probably our most creative player and certainly one of the best players in the squad, to leave to a side that we would deem as a competitor, certainly in regards to teams with the aspiration of fighting for European positions in the near future. I think Aston Villa and Everton both fit in that category, and to think that we've strengthened them by giving one of our better, most creative players to them is understandably frustrating, and I'm frustrated with it as well. But as I said, however you feel about this situation, it was an unhealthy distraction as to what's going on at the football club at the moment, and what's going on at the football club in a large sense isn't good enough in regards to in the boardroom, on the pitch. But at the end of the day, on a very base level of it, we need to start winning games of football. We're 15th in the Premier League. We're dangerously close to a relegation battle. We're in mid-January now, so it's not like we're, still in 2021 and we're looking at it thinking, oh, we've got, a while to go. We're in mid-January now. Before we know it, it'll be February, March, and then we're getting to the latter stages of the season. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, if this Everton side gets into a relegation battle, I don't think this Everton side gets out of a relegation battle. I think we go down, because I just don't think there's enough grit. I don't think there's enough determination. And at this current moment, I don't think there's enough quality to get out of that. And, there's a massive argument to be had there as to why are we selling our most creative player when we're in such a bad situation. But listen, at the end of the day, Luka Digne didn't want to be at Everton Football Club. And, some people will have differences in thoughts on that, and some people will say, well, he didn't want to be here because of Rafa Benitez. That may be true. In fact, that probably is the case, because prior to Rafa Benitez, he signed a new deal and spoke openly about how happy he is to be here and how much he's looking forward to the future with the football club. So the only change that has happened is, well, A, we've gotten worse in terms of performances on the pitch and results in the league, but also, the new manager has come in, and very clearly the new manager and Luka Digne didn't get along, and it's disappointing to see it end this way for Luka Digne. It is. He was certainly a fan favourite, a player that a lot of people could get behind, a player that was very rarely criticised. What hasn't been great this season, granted, but nobody has creatively. I think we'll all agree he was our best player, or certainly our most creative player. And whenever Everton have done well and been playing well and in good form and scoring a lot of goals and creating a lot of chances, and whenever there's been a feel-good factor surrounding Everton. Typically, Luka Digne is a part of that because of how well he's playing. So it is really, really disappointing to see it end this way. And naturally, as I've said before, this become this Luka Digne versus Rafa Benitez sort of situation that, again, is just unhealthy noise and an unhealthy distraction for the football club. I sort of, as I've said it before and I'll say it again, I said it a couple of days ago, I can't really muster up the energy to care that much, to be honest with you, because the club have put us through that much shite over the last couple of weeks and months or so, that when I read this morning that the deal had been agreed and that he was going down for a medical, and when it was announced, I think partly because we've known this was coming, this hasn't completely come out the blue. We haven't went to bed last night thinking Luka Digne is our left back, he's going to be our left back for the foreseeable future, and woke up this morning and all of a sudden he's left the football club. We've known for 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, maybe even longer, that Luka Digne wouldn't have a future at the football club. It was epitomised on Friday when Rafa Benitez done his press conference. As soon as that press conference finished, there was never a way back for Luka Digne, never a way back. So in those couple of weeks, it has just been a prolonged situation that people are talking about, and a distraction to actually what's going on the pitch. So there's no distraction now. Luka Digne's left the football club. That situation has been put on the back burner. There's no, will he start on Saturday? Will he not start on Saturday? Will he be involved? Will he not be involved? He's not an Everton player anymore. He's an Aston Villa player. He's gone over to play, in Steven Gerrard's side. Listen, personally, I've got nothing against Luka Digne. Nothing against him. I wish him the best of luck. He was great for a large part of the time that he was at Everton Football Club. Statistically, the stats will tell you that he's been a fantastic servant for the football club. Obviously, I sort of go off of stats and what I'm watching on the pitch, and what I've watched on the pitch recently when Luka Digne has been on there, albeit not in recent weeks because he hasn't played, but prior to that, wasn't great. But statistically, you'd say, well, that's because he hasn't got the players up front, and, your Dominic Calvert-Lewin, your Richarlisons to create chances for. That's because the rest of the team have been poor as well, and that's fair enough. But it is, it is the end of an unnecessary distraction and an unnecessary noise, and finally now, I think we can sort of focus on Everton, and we can focus on winning games of football. We can focus on talking about the real problems here, and the real problem at Everton Football Club starts at the boardroom for a start, in an owner that hasn't got a clue about football in the slightest, and yet still decides to make footballing decisions because he can't help himself. A manager who tactically is absolutely woeful and has been for the last however many months, and is incredibly lucky to still be in a job, and a group of players that for the large part either aren't good enough or just don't seem to care enough. And that all of those problems accumulated and combined have put us in a situation where we could be staring down the battle of an unnecessary relegation fight. We've just seen Newcastle spend £20 million on Chris Wood from Burnley, who, is a signing that will come in and score them goals inevitably. So we really have to start thinking and looking at what's most important, and what's most important is the future of Everton Football Club. Whether Luka Digne was here or not, stayed or didn't stay, the future of Everton Football Club is the most important thing in this situation. Where will we be come next season? And I'd love to sit down with the board and say, what is the goal for Everton? What is the aim? What is the, where do you want to be within the next 2 years? Forget 10 years, because if you say to Everton Football Club and Everton's board, where do you want to be in 10 years? They'll shit out the way to saying, in a new stadium, fighting for the Champions League, because it's so easy to say that, because it's such a long time in the future, and everybody will go, well, yeah, in 10 years, we bring in this player, we bring in that player, this, that, and the other. Where do Everton want to be in 2 years? Answer me that. Farhad Moshiri, Denise Barrett-Baxendale, Bill Kenwright, Graham Sharp now. Answer me that. Where will Everton be in 2 years? Because 2 years ago, Everton had sacked Marco Silva and just brought in Carlo Ancelotti, and we're about to begin a new season, a new period with Carlo Ancelotti at the Realm 2 years ago. That obviously ended sourly. We had a great start to last season, but then it ended really, really poorly. We've now got Rafael Benitez, so where do we want to be in 2 years? I guarantee you, if you'd have said to Everton 2 years ago, when Ancelotti had just been appointed and there was a feel-good factor around the football club, where do you want to be in 2 years? They wouldn't have said, with Rafa Benitez as manager, 15th in the Premier League and only winning one game in 12. If you'd have said, that's where we will be, they'd have said, well, there's a problem. So where do we want to be in 2 years? What's the near future look like for Everton Football Club? This deal, for me, financially, isn't actually the worst deal in the world. I've seen some people on Twitter not very happy with the fact that we're only getting £25 million for Luka Digne. I think given the circumstance, and again, I'm not saying I'm happy with Luka Digne leaving. I'm not, if I'm being honest with you. I'd rather have him stayed. I think having somebody of that quality in your squad is necessary, and losing that and having to replace that is very, very difficult. And I know we've brought in Vitaly Mikhailenko, who looked good the other day against Hull, but it'll be a massive task for him to come in and directly replace what Luka Digne brings or brought as an Everton player. However, as I said, for me, you're looking at the situation, and £25 million for a 28-year-old left back who, for the last 3 or 4 weeks, as we've known, has openly wanted to leave the football club for whatever reason. The manager literally come out on Friday and said, yeah, what am I meant to do? He doesn't want to be here, blah, 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 blah. We literally could have had our pants pulled down massively there, because the ball was never in our court. The ball was in Aston Villa's court. The ball was in Luka Digne's court. Every side knew that we're interested in Digne, that he wanted out, and that he'd had a falling out with the manager, and that we'd replaced him. So, realistically, we needed to move Luka Digne on, because we needed to get rid of this noise, and we needed to make some money back on the money that we've just spent for Vitaly Mikhailenko and Nathan Patterson. So I don't think, all things considered, £25 million is necessarily an awful deal for a 28-year-old left back who has been there's been such an open sort of situation about him wanting to leave the football club. It's not like we're absolutely desperate to keep him, and we've sold him for 25 million. We've known he's going to leave. We've known the club the manager wants to sell him. We've known the player wants to leave, and we've managed to get £25 million. It is disappointing, because you look and you think, well, last year, had we have sold him, we'd have gotten much more. But I suppose on the flip side, if we'd have kept him next year, he'd have gone for less, because he'd be a year older, and who knows how he would have performed between now and then. As I said, it is disappointing, but it's just another situation for me that just nails into the fact that the club is in such a bad position, and not necessarily because we've sold Luka Digne for 25 million, because as a business deal, as I said, replacing a 28-year-old and getting 25 million and replacing him with a 22-year-old for 16 million isn't business-wise that bad. If you were to put that to Simon Jordan on TalkSport or any other business person, they'd say, yeah, financially and for the long-term future of a football club, that makes sense. But it's just the way in which it's happened. The fact that Luka Digne said literally 12 months ago, less than 12 months ago, I love the football club. It's like a perfect wedding. I want to be here for the foreseeable future. I'm happy to see, what happens with the project and this, that and the other. It's just the whole public argument, and Benitez coming out in press conferences, and Dean seemingly wanting to just leave the football club to go anywhere. I mean, Aston Villa aren't really a step up to Everton, let's be honest. No disrespect to Aston Villa, they've done some good business recently, but league position, they're only 3 points ahead of us, I think, and we've got a game in hand, and we've been absolutely abysmal this season. Long-term wise, yes, they're probably set up much better than Everton are, but I don't think there's one football club in the English pyramid that are set up worse than Everton are long-term wise. As I said, I don't think the board have a fucking clue what they want or where they want us to be in the next 18 months, never mind 5 to 10 years. But as I said, just because of the situation, because of how it's been dealt with, because of how it's been handled, because of the fact that, as I said, Luka Digne was seemingly so happy to stay at the football club prior to all of this happening, it's just another example of Everton Football Club being in a shambles at the moment, an absolute shambles. And Rafa Benitez is being allowed to make some big decisions, big decisions, and big decisions that sitting 16th in the Premier League and winning one Premier League game in 3 months and only just winning your second game in that period of time, and that being an FA Cup fixture that we took to 120 minutes against an injury-ridden Championship side who aren't very good, that is a risk for me, an absolute risk. Farhad Moshiri is giving a lot of console to a manager who is seeing Everton through some of the worst times in recent years, and that is a ginormous risk. But as we've already established, Farhad Moshiri hasn't got a clue about football, and Farhad Moshiri is listening to his agent's mates in the ears who are only interested in their own gain and their own financial gain. He hasn't got a clue, and stupidly enough, instead of going, I haven't got a clue, so I'm going to let people do the job for me, he tries to get involved. And that's a bad mix when you've got a manager who is showing on a weekend that he hasn't really got a clue what to do with the team or how to manage the team, and you've got an owner who thinks that everything's going brilliantly and is getting involved left, right and centre when he hasn't got a clue either. You know, it's scary. And as I said, this Luka Digne, this is why I can't sit here and be upset or be or too overly angry or too overly, because it's just another example and another situation in the never-ending hysterical nonsense that is Everton Football Club at the moment. And as I said, that's not necessarily because we've sold Luka Digne for the money that we've sold him for, or because of the deal that we've done, because financially, yeah, probably makes sense. It's just because of the way it all happened. The way that he wanted to stay, 12 months ago, spoke so openly. He's come in, he's obviously had a feud with the manager, and he wants to, he's now leaving. I just think it's being dealt with in a really, really poor manner. I mean, it's interesting, really, because Arsenal are going through a sort of, I suppose, a similar situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who hasn't been seen now for a number of weeks. He obviously was disciplined by Arsenal. He had the captaincy taken off him. I don't know the ins and outs behind it. I think he returned home from a holiday late or something like that. But he's been completely almost frozen out the squad, taking the captaincy off him. And it's almost been very much, sort of, you're going to leave the football club because you've got no future at the football club. Now, he, 12 months ago, was signing a new contract, was their club captain, scoring all sorts of goals, and their fans were in absolute, they were absolutely over the moon that he was signing a new deal and he was committing his future to the football club. 12 months later, and he looks set to be leaving. He hasn't been seen for a while, and that's because of a dispute with the manager or a disciplinary situation, and the manager isn't involving him in the squad now. Now, you're not really hearing much of that in the media, and Arsenal fans, considering he was such a folk sort of, considering he was such a superstar, he was such a fan favourite, you're not really hearing many of them talk about it. Now, whether that's because they know what the situation is and they're thinking, yeah, we're not going to talk about it, I don't know, but they don't really seem overly upset about it. Is that because Arsenal are in a better situation than Everton are? And as I said, if Everton were top four playing good football and working hard, winning games, would this be such a big problem? I don't know, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But it's as I said, it's just another example of the absolute disaster that is Everton Football Club at the moment. And I am sad to see Luka Digne leave. I am, because I like Luka Digne. At the end of the day, I said it yesterday, I think, or the day before, I'm very much of the opinion that if you don't want to be at Everton Football Club, see you later. I'm not particularly interested in where you want to be or what you want to do. If you don't want to be an Everton player, then don't be an Everton player at the end of the day. People would say, well, he only doesn't want to be here for Rafa Benitez. That's fine, but there's probably other players in the squad that don't want Rafa Benitez here, but they get their head down and they work hard because they understand that A, they're getting paid a shitload of money, and B, it's about the football club. It's not about Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez probably won't be here in 12 months' time. It's about the football club and doing what's best for the football club. Luka Digne obviously feels like he can't do that, and maybe we'll hear more of Luka Digne's side now that he's left the football club. Maybe we'll hear more about, why it happened and what happened and this, that and the other. Maybe we won't, because maybe he'll just think, no, I'm not going to say anything. But as I said, for me, it's just a situation that didn't need to be so public, didn't need to be such a thing, but has been, and now I'm just happy that it's over with, that we can put it to one side, we can move on. It's disappointing, I understand the frustration, I understand the fury with it, but we've already replaced him. We haven't seen him now for a number of weeks. It was just an unnecessary noise that we didn't need when we need to focus on the more important things, i.e. winning games of football. But it's done now. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. I've just slipped off the chair. That tells you everything you need to know. Luka Digne has officially signed for Aston Villa. A deal reportedly worth up to £25 million. Don't think I said that earlier on. So, yeah, financially not the worst deal for Everton, in my opinion, especially considering the situation. But it is frustrating, and it's frustrating that it's ended this way for Luka Digne. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Hit that thumbs up button. Let us know your thoughts. Really, really interested to hear what you'd have to say about this one. And yeah, Luka Digne is no longer an Everton player. He has left the football club to join Aston Villa. Would have rather him have gone abroad or joined somebody that we don't see as direct rivals, but it is what it is, I suppose. It is what it is. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed this one, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.